Hi guys, it's your boy BDR and I'm back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Now for today's video, I'm gonna be talking about my biggest Yu-Gi-Oh hot takes. Maybe there'll be a part one, maybe there'll be a part two, who knows, the future will tell. As this is just, my opinion, disclaimers ahead. My opinion, this isn't, the points I'm gonna make aren't rage bait or interaction bait, because why would I do that? And if you agree, disagree, unsure, drop them in the comments below. Now let's get started with our first Yu-Gi-Oh hot take. Alright guys, so for our first Yu-Gi-Oh hot take, I just basically have Zexal is overhated. And I don't really understand this one because, my personal opinion, Zexal's one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh of the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. Like, I just have it, above, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Now, nostalgia, people that can't take off their nostalgia glasses are obviously they're not going to understand because they have their nostalgia glasses on. But like, why is Zexal overhated? It's just because of the same, unoriginal comments saying that, oh, Yuma looks like a kid, but it's like, but y'all glaze Yugimoto, right? Okay. Throwing that out there. Y'all love Yugimoto. Yeah, love Bakura for, looking childish, but like Yuma, fuck him. Oh, Zexo is goofy. Motherfucker, GX is mostly goofy up until season 3 and 4. And Zexo has one of the darkest storylines. Like, it's like the Barian Emperor arc. That wasn't dark enough when like people lose, they got basically turned into energy? Even in the sub, they literally said you're going to hell. Obviously, you can't say that in the dub. Yuma's voice actor stinks. It's like, they're actually grown ass people in this world that actually let the voice actor stop them from watching a show. Oh, jeez, you guys need to fucking grow up, man. Shit. And it's just like the reason why I have this picture there is just that, like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, that shit's goofy as fuck up until third and fourth season. That's what shit like actually gets serious. I guess you can kind of say like, okay, Sagittarius wasn't serious, like he was, but Talking Dinosaur is pretty like, hmm, final duel of, that whole arc, you see talking dinosaurs and dolphins and whatnot. It's kind of like, whoa, you know, there's actually people, and overall, like GX man, that's one of the main reasons. But it's like barely memorable outside of seasons 3 and 4. Like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is like, that's where shit really actually starts to pick up. Seasons 3 and 4. And 4 is only sub. As it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, it's like, shit hits the fan after season 1. Like right around, World Duel Carnival. And plus it's like outside of Yubel and Sagittarius and like Darkness from season 4, it's like, not gonna lie, Zexal's villain class, cast kind of clears like Vetrix. Like I'll put him over Sagittarius and Darkness. Vector. This is gonna be another hot take right there. Vector's low key a top 5 villain in the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. Argue with a wall, like he fits that villain role. Like I'll say he's up there with the likes of Merrick, with the likes of Merrick and Darts and whatnot, and Yubel and Zone. Like he's up there, more of a villain than Don Thousand, which I don't understand because these niggas that don't like Zexal never gave the show the chance, and they're just listening to the same hive mind opinion. Like actually watch Zexal for a few episodes, then make an original opinion instead of saying like, ugh, Yu-Gi-Oh fell off after GX. That's why they play Edison and Goat format because they can't take off their nostalgia glasses and actually give the newer things a chance. But yeah, it's just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal is just like overhated. It has a good story, good cast, like Kite, Shark, Barbarian Emperors, good villain cast. Okay, Dr. Faker might be a stinker there, but like Vetrix, Vector, Dawn Thousand, like those are like good tier villains franchise. And Zexo does, have serious moments as well. And fantastic duels. It's like Yuma and Astral, ceremonial duel. I mean, this might be spoilers for some people, but like that, the Dawn Thousand 2v1. Y'all niggas didn't like Kyber. Okay. But yeah, it's just that I'll always kind of have Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal over GX. It's just like, I just feel like it's way too overhated. I just feel like people just don't give it a chance because it looks goofy. Fucking GX. Goofy ass GX up until seasons 3 and 4. Okay. I know I don't hate GX, it's just like that's just my personal opinion about GX. Alright then, enough about that. Let's move on to the next hot take. Damn, that was a long ass, explanation. Alright guys. So for our next hot take, I just have Link 1s and Link 2s are examples of horrible card design in Yu-Gi-Oh! They are the borderline examples. And the picture I have here are like 10 of the most broken Link monsters we have ever seen today. And majority of them are like Link 1s and 2s. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand. Pre-Arata Firewall, pre-Arata Summon Sorceress. Yeah, those were troublesome, but not as troublesome as these fuckers right here. Like, Crystron Noodle Fiber. Do I need to explain more? Like, half the tuner monsters got banned in this game because of this water fucker. Like Union Carrier, Buster Lock, Artifact Dagda, Scythe Lock, like Jasmine. Oh, Plant FTK. SP Little Knight is just so BS. Nightmare Mermaid and Requiem are basically the same card. Vertion Nakana, yeah, easy Dragoons. IP Masquerade, Link summoning during your opponent's turn. I sold for Warrior Toolbox and Sprite Elf to bring back level 2s. And for protection if you have them linked. Like, I'm just saying. These are just examples of I'll say the main examples of horrible card design in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! They are way too easy to make, and it's kind of like the effects you get off for that easy requirement are just like far too rewarding just for two monsters with different names. It's just that they're just way too easy to make. Now I'm not saying like, oh, they should be complicated, but like when I'll just say dating back to 2017, 18, that was like early Vrain's era. Your archetype needed a Link monster in order to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I get it, but I feel like these Link monsters should have been more restricted to set archetypes instead of basically being generic. Like, how come Noodle Fiber like couldn't just be more restricted to Crystons? How come Union Carrier wasn't more restricted to Unions? Like, why couldn't Artifact Dagda be like two monsters included in an artifact monster? Like Aroma Surfy Jasmine's like, why the fuck it has that effect? Like SP Little Knight, way too like it's just like it's basically you're just like too easy to make. And it's just like it's just let's say speechless. It's like what I'm looking at here is just like examples of shit card design. They make these cards way too easy to make. Their effects are just balls to the walls broken. It's either balls to the walls broken or just that one card right there can make an entire Omni negate board, which you can't get past. And it all originated from Link Vrain's Pack 1, distributing all these fuckers, the Link Vrain's Pack series may have been like one of the worst pack series out of all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's like it brought us this degeneracy in Link 1, in these Link 1s and Link 2s that are just have way that are way too broken for their own good. I just should have believed that, they should have been more restrictive going into it. And it's kind of like, half of these cards are like out of the game. It's like Noodle Fibers banned everywhere. It's like half these cards are probably like banned in multiple parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's just kind of like it really proves my point. It's like Link Vrain's Pack was like the Link Vrain's Pack series was like one of the worst decisions in Yu-Gi-Oh history. It's like, you know, presentation good, execution horrible because it brought about degeneracy for the next, few years until Konami decided to put their foot down. All right then, that's pretty much it. Now let's move on to the next hot take. All right, guys. Now for the next hot take, I just have you. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh players hate certain decks because they play certain generic cards. Like you don't actually hate Eldritch. Excuse me. You don't actually hate Eldritch. You hate the floodgates that Eldritch could play. You don't actually hate Fluendaries. You hate Shifter. Just throwing that out there. It's like, come on. That's You don't hate Gravekeepers. You hate Necro Valley. I mean, I just feel like, and it just grows hatred for certain decks that don't even deserve the hate at all. Like, Fluendaries doesn't even deserve hate at all. It's not even like, it is meta, but it isn't like top tier meta compared to like 10 Pies and Shit Eyes. I met Snake Eyes and, U-Bells and whatnot. I just feel like, because of like how much people can't stand Shifter, it's like that hatred towards Shifter that passes on to the decks that could utilize Shifter. One of the biggest examples is Fluendaries. I'm just saying there's no reason to hate Fluendaries because they can utilize Shifter. It's just like, not every deck can like work around Shifter or like has an advantage towards Shifter. And the same thing for like Eldritch too. It's like you don't hate Eldritch, you hate the floodgates that Eldritch associates itself with. And because people don't know how to counter and whatnot, it's just like that hatred just grows into the decks. Or like when I hear Fluendaries slander, I'm like, for what? Because of Shifter? Fuck off. Because of Harpy's Featherstorm? So what? It's just like don't hate that deck because they could utilize Shifter. Don't hate that deck because they could utilize spell cards. Don't hate that deck because they could utilize evenly matched. It's just like you don't actually hate that deck. You hate that generic card that is utilized in that deck. Is what I'm trying to say. Because it's like let's just say Shifter was never invented, more people would like Fluendaries. Just throwing that out there. Like even if you want to be like, oh, there's still Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos, it's still like, yeah. But at the same time, it's like people hate Shifter more being, because, it's a monster, not trap cards. Not trap and spell cards. So yeah. That's pretty much it for that hot take. Now let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, for this hot take I'd have floodgates are healthy for the game and they are a necessary evil for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I feel like in this modern era of like omni negates and like impossible boards to break, I feel like we should have like options to deal with that, and floodgates are those options. And judging by the picture I have here, these are some of the best floodgates in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! If Imperial Order being the background, but I will say there are exceptions to that rule about floodgates being healthy. Imperial Order is one of those exceptions because it's just like it shuts down a third of the game. Also gonna add in, Vanity's Emptiness. It's like that card could never come back due to the fact it kind of like shuts down the game. But these guys, it's like I feel like there was no reason. There was some reason to like hit some of these. It's like skill drain, I understand, but like goes in and there can only be one in Rivalry or Warlords. I just feel like nah and whatnot. Summon limit was like I feel like that was another one that should have just went to one instead of just straight up banning it. Because it's like we need something to fight these boards. And, and floodgates are a major help with that. You know, they really do. Actually, they like prevent these omni boards from breaking out. You know, they prevent some of these unbeatable strategies if uninterrupted. And it might put the game at halt, but for good reason. Because it's like, how else are we supposed to fight these combo breaking boards? What? Or we're supposed to have the ban list play the game for us, and that's another thing I'm gonna tie in. It's just like I feel like with some Yu-Gi-Oh players, or just like majority, they just want the ban list to play the game for them. Because like when I hear hatred towards floodgates, it's just like you don't pack back row removal. Where's your harpies? Where's your twin twisters? Where's your cosmos? Like where's your heavy storms? You don't pack back row removal. That's on you. And saying that, oh, excuse me, that floodgates take no skill. It's like, I mean, you're just activating a trap card. Or else, I mean, it's kind of like when you're activating a monster effect. That doesn't take any skill. When you're activating a spell card or a continuous one, that doesn't take any skill. Just activating it. I never really understood that argument. And yes, I do have Royal Oppression on here. Hopefully that, if there's like many cards that could come back to one, I have Royal Oppression because I feel like Royal Oppression would be like a nice adjustment to the game, to really like make sure that the game of Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't like end in like turns one through four or 1 through 3. You know, that's the main point of floodgates, to make sure it's, slow down the pace of the game, because obviously as years and years progress, Yu-Gi-Oh is gonna get more and more fast paced, and floodgates help out with that, to slow down the pace, so we don't have like, duels that end by turn 3. What happened to duels that used to end at like turn 5 or turn 7 or like turn 10, you know what I mean? Those are true duels right there. And floodgates help out, with like a true duel. I mean, floodgates don't deserve, don't they deserve half the hate, but not majority or all the hate that they get. They're just there to, put the game at a certain pace, and I just think that that's good that that floodgates can like slow down the game, so we don't have to go to this turbo fast stuff. Because who actually likes fast duels? I understand, like I don't necessarily like 20+ turn duels, but like these floodgates really do help out, make sure that the game is going to this turbo pace. And they actually, they affect both players as well. I never understood where like floodgates being like, oh, they only affect one player. Like floodgates could. Both players too, just throwing that out there. Like synchro zone, you can only attack with only synchro monsters. I mean, summon limits you to 2. Like Royal Passion pay 800 to negate special summoning. It's like, come on, guys. Floodgates are healthy for the game. Just learn how to pack back row removal. Alright, let's move on with the next take. Alright, guys. For the last hot take, I have deck creativity has been dead for years. Let me say why. Hand traps are mainly the problem. Because it's just like, ever since, the likes of Ash Blossom, even before then, we had Effect Veiler, Drill and Lockbird, Skullmeister, and whatnot. It's like, Ash Blossom really set the tone of, like, staples. Because, like, Ash Blossom is ran in, like, 99.9% of decks. As years progress, we have, Infinite Impermanence, that became, like, the number 2 staple. Drill and Lockbird saw major relevance. And the Macharmy archetype, I don't know if I'm saying it right, they just revealed they got their Earth one that could like draw 1 card if your opponent special summons from the graveyard or banishment. So yeah, and what I mean by this is just like when we look at deck lists, it's always like the same 18 cards, to the point it's like it just feels like Yu-Gi-Oh has become hand trap dot deck, where it's just like, okay, you're running the same 18 to 20 hand traps, and then like the other 20 cards are like your actual deck. And it just looks bland. It just makes Yu-Gi-Oh kind of bland in a way, where it's just like when I hear talks about, oh, deck creativity is at its finest, it's like, no, the fuck it isn't. We're all running, Ash Blossoms, Imperm, Called by, Droll, the Macharmies right there. I just feel like at this point we might as well just bring back Maxi, just to like further, boost up the blandness, because I just feel like it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna have like 30 to 40 hand traps, and then it's gonna be like, okay, like 20 card actual deck. Because I mean, look at these numbers right now. It's like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. It's like 18 out of like usually 40 card deck is just hand traps. Like half your deck is just hand traps, and like no one sees a problem with this. I mean, eventually they are gonna ban the Macharmy archetype, that's for damn sure. And permanents will never see a ban. Ash Blossom will probably never see a ban. At most, it could probably go to 2. Same with Joan Lockbird and Valor. But it's just like it just makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Bland to just see like, okay, what's this deck profile, and it's just 30 hand traps lodged into one deck. And it's just like, I want to see more spicy text, like, let's go back to running some retro cards. Like, when was the last time you saw like a Starlight Road in someone's deck? Stardust Dragon's still one of the best synchro monsters of all time. Like, we're gonna see stuff like Return, Cashback. We're gonna see Mirror Force, the Mirror Force variants in competitive play again. When Tenpai is based on the battle phase, so why not? Like, where's Compulse? What happened to the days of like bottomless Compulse? Mirror Force, Spirit Reaper. Like, what happened to? Instead, it's just like Nibiru's and whatnot. Like, I like all these cards. It's just that and now it's like every single deck list is just half or like almost the entire deck is just hand traps, and like 1 or 2 cards are like the actual deck. And it's just like, when I hear people talk about deck creativity is lively, I just refer to this, and it's just like, no, the hell it isn't. We're all running the same 18 to 20 hand traps. I just feel like at this point, we might as well just bring back Maxi and the TCG to further that pile. Like, we're gonna get to a point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where we're gonna have like 40 cards or just straight hand traps, and like the 10, we're gonna have like that, and like 10 cards are like the actual deck. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much been it for my Yu-Gi-Oh! Hot takes. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, hi guys, out.